Hi everybody, Sarah here from smallbusinesssarah.com, and today I'm going to show you how easy it is as an online business owner to do your taxes with TurboTax. So this information is going to be applicable to you if you are a sole proprietorship or a single member LLC. If you are filing as an S Corp or a partnership, this is not the video for you. But if you're an online small business owner, maybe you're an Etsy seller, a blogger, Amazon, Shopify, eBay, or a self-published author, then this video is going to show you how easy it is to do your tax return. So when you are a sole proprietorship or a single member LLC, you do your usual 1040 tax return, and then you tack on the Schedule C. And that's the portion of the taxes that this video is going to cover. So with TurboTax, in order to do the Schedule C, you're going to need to go with TurboTax Premium. And we're going to go ahead and get started for free. There's a link in the description for TurboTax. It is my affiliate link if you choose to use that link for getting started with your taxes. So first, we're going to enter in some personal information. Now we come to the part where we're entering in our information from our business. So we'll go ahead and click Start. Did we have any self-employment income or expenses? Yes, we did. So the first business example I'm going to use is that of a blogger. So I'm going to say that we have blogging income. And our blogging is a business. Yes, it has an official name. I'm just going to call it XYZ Blogging, but you would, of course, add the real name of your business. Enter in the address you use for your business. I'm going to say that I started blogging this year. But of course, if you started or stopped or you didn't do either, you would select that option. For our example, we're going to not have employees that we paid. But if you did, then select that you did have employees. And employees, of course, is different than contractors. If you had contractors, that would be something different, and then you would answer this question. And in our example, we did have contractors for which we gave a 1099 form. In many cases, you will indicate that you have an EIN and you can enter it here. I'm just gonna, for ease of this example, say that I don't. So this active participation question, most of the time, if you're blogging for income, you have actively participated in the operation of the business, and none of these applies to me. In our example, we did actively participate, and we don't have that limitation. TurboTax is suggesting a business code. The business code is just kind of a general way for the IRS to identify what type of business you have. If you feel like you would like to change that business code, you can. It's not super important what code you select here. The method of accounting. Cash is the most common. Accrual is the other option. Most small business owners are on the cash basis of accounting, and that is what I recommend. Cash basis means you're recording income when you receive it, and expenses when you pay them, not when you incur them. And we are going to say we are not in a disaster area as well. Looks good. So for my example, I'm not going to pull up a 1099K to show as an example. We're just going to go off of our profit and loss. But if you've watched other videos, then you'll see how I tie out my bookkeeping to 1099Ks. And you do need to make sure that the information that you enter agrees to your 1099K, but to keep this example simple in producing the Schedule C, we're just going to enter in the information directly from our bookkeeping records. But like I said, your bookkeeping records should match your 1099K. Let me pull up our example for a blogger. Okay, I've pulled up our profit and loss example for a blogger and split the screen so that you can see what I'm doing and where I'm getting my numbers from. Let's go over this quickly. This particular blogger is doing really well. She has ad revenue, affiliate income, and other sources of income. And then we have our expenses. She's broken out her expenses, some of her direct blog-related expenses she has included here. And then she lists other types of expenses as well. Let's break this out a bit more. So that's all of our income, and we'll hit continue. And let's see if we agree. $273,496. Looks like we agree, so we're in good shape. Let's move on to expenses. You can choose to connect to QuickBooks if you would like. All right, let's find the expense categories that apply to us. This blogging example does not have any large equipment purchases. We do have some supplies. We have some advertising. We have a little bit of travel. And let's see what they consider communications. Cell phones, internet, long distance calling, other communications. I think I might put some of our website expenses in here. So I'll go ahead and select that. We'll go ahead and select the Home Office Tax Deduction so we can talk about that later. Legal and professional is like accounting, bookkeeping, and tax services or lawyers. In general, 100% meal deductions aren't very likely. It's more likely that any meal deductions are going to be the 50% deductible level. These are usually meals with clients, meals while conducting business, things like that. We're going to select this option for our meals deduction because our meals were with a client. We definitely had office expenses, and we'll definitely probably need some miscellaneous. Let's see what they have for less common. We don't have startup costs this year. We don't have building. We don't have land. We do have a little bit of insurance. We haven't paid out commissions, and we do have some contractor payments, so we will select that. Oh, and there's even more. No interest in our example, although, of course, if you did have interest, you would select that. No equipment rental, no health insurance, no inventory, no long-term care, no mortgage interest, no repairs and maintenance. We do have a little bit of taxes and licenses. I won't select utilities. Sometimes I put like internet expenses here, but I'm going to stick it in the communications. Vehicle would be if you use your vehicle, your personal vehicle, and you drove that vehicle for a business purpose. But as a blogger, we're doing everything from home. We don't have that. Continue. I'm going to say no. We didn't have any major purchases this year. We already selected the meal one, so I'm going to say no on this one as well. Okay, so let's get started. So they're going to provide information about a qualifying home office, but the rules are you have to use the area regularly for work, and it has to be used exclusively for your business. Many people don't qualify because they use their home office area also for personal businesses. We're just going to call it home. So here's some applicable questions. Was it used only for work and nothing else? In our case, yes. Did we regularly use it? Yes. Primary place where you worked? Yes. Great. I think our business started. That was the date I used before. We'll just use that. How many months did we use it? We'll say 10 months. 100%. And then we just do the square footage. So it's interesting. They're asking questions for the direct method for home office, not the simplified method. I'm going to say it's 100 square feet. And I'm going to say the whole house is 2,000. Okay, here we go. We're going to go with the simplified method where basically you just get, based on your square footage, you get a deduction. I think it's supposed to be $5 a square foot, so I'm not sure how they're calculating 417 instead of 500, but we'll go with their answer. Actual expenses would require you to look up your entire home utility bills and then apply a percentage to the home office. It's possible that this is not showing $500 based upon our high level of income. That's most likely why it's not showing the full $500, because normally it would be $5 times the square footage for the simplified method. Okay, great. Thank you so much. All right, now let's keep going. Communication, cell phone, internet. If you had internet expense or cell phone, of course, we would add it here. In our case, I'm actually going to go ahead and put her email service provider on communications. Obviously, as a blogger, you're using a service maybe like ConvertKit to send emails to your subscribers. And over here, you can see it right there. As I use it, I'm going to highlight it so I keep track of what I have included over here. Nothing else am I going to put on communications. Now, what I don't want you to do is get wrapped up in the particulars of, oh, what should I put here? What should I put there? Just find the best possible category that you have, put it there. The categories that the IRS has on their Schedule C are not really precise for an online business owner. So just put it in the place that makes the most sense to you. As long as you're reporting your expenses, that's the most important thing. Worrying about the exact category you use is not necessary. I'm going to go ahead and do the easy things first and then come back to the categories where I might need to put several line items that are more general, like supplies. So I'm going to go ahead and do advertising. And over here, you'll see advertising as $1727.70. And TurboTax is great because they give you an idea of what you might put in this category. Meals, $84.97. Legal and professional, if I didn't say it before, is also for like your bookkeeper, your accountant, your tax preparer, financial advisor, that sort of thing. Travel, make sure it's business only travel. Don't add personal travel. Our blogger went to a conference. Taxes and licenses, sometimes there's business renewals, licenses, things like that. You don't include federal estimated, state estimated, local estimated taxes here. Those are going to be handled differently. So these are only taxes. You also want to put sales tax that you paid, like collected and then paid here. This would only be if maybe if you paid sales tax but you were late and there was a penalty, that could go here. Or like I said, other licenses and things like that. Okay, now remember, if you do pay contractors, you do need to send them a 1099 if you paid them over $600. And in our case, I believe we have two different types of contractors. We have down here, we have a virtual assistant. But then up here, we have people that we paid for content, photography, graphic design, and just general contractors. And this makes sense for a highly successful blogger to be relying on so many sources for completing the work of her blog. Okay, what are we left with? Office expenses, supplies, and other miscellaneous. So for office expenses, I'm going to put website. I'm going to put online tools and software. And then we actually have an account called office supplies. Let's do regular supplies now. I'm going to put the giveaway expenses here. So things that were purchased in order to entice new subscribers and then products were given away. And then we'll put the job supplies here. So for example, if you're blogging about like a food blogger, you would have materials. Now we're just left with other. And I'm going to put education here. So online courses that you purchase, maybe some books, ebooks on blogging, and then we'll have our other right here. Once I cross that off. Okay, looks like I've got all the expenses so far. Now the only thing I haven't put in so far is my interest income. We'll answer a few more questions. It wasn't for a former employer. It happened in the U.S. No, we're not deducting our expenses anywhere else. Let's double check everything so far. Okay, so they're going to give you some ideas of things to review and double check and information like that. Okay, we've done the hard work of entering our income and expenses into TurboTax. And behind the scenes, this is what TurboTax is producing for you. They are producing the Schedule C that is going to be attached to your regular Form 1040 when you file your tax return by April 15th. So you'll recall that we answered a lot of questions at first about our name, our business name. It gave us an entity code. Then we answered other questions like our accounting method where we chose cash. Did we materially participate? Yes. Did we start it this year? We had decided, yes, we had started our business this year. Did we make payments that would require us to file our Form 1099s? Yes, that was all of our contractor payments. And did we file those forms? Yes. So TurboTax is asking the questions that they know are going to need to be answered on the Schedule C. Moving along, you'll recall we entered all of our income and we had kind of separated it out so that we could see easily if we had to go back and edit what income we had entered where. But on the Schedule C, it all gets combined into one line, the gross receipts or sales. And for us as a blogger, we didn't have other items like returns or costs of goods sold and things like that. But if you were a product seller, then you would have a little bit more information that you're filling in here to get to your gross income number. But as a blogger, our income on line 1 is going to be the same, probably pretty much as the income on line 7. So then we get to the expenses. And you'll notice that, once again, it's a bit more condensed than how we entered it into TurboTax. You'll see we have our advertising expense. Here is all of our contractor payments that we made, our business insurance, our legal and professional, office expenses, supplies, taxes and licenses, travel and meals, and then other is a total that we can see pulls from this section right here where it broke out the communications, the education, and the other that we had broken out, came up with the total that then gets included here. So then we have our total expenses, and this calculation is done for you by TurboTax. They're adding up all of your expenses, they're giving you a preliminary profit or loss, and then here's that home office tax deduction we did, where we did the total square footage of our home, the part we used as our home office, and then that was the deduction that they gave us. And then once again, that's a calculation that TurboTax did, and it gives us our net profit or loss. Once again, behind the scenes, TurboTax is also going to be filling out the Schedule SE based upon your net profit and loss. And the Schedule SE is in regard to your self-employment income. And it's pretty much just a calculation that TurboTax is doing on their own behind the scenes because, of course, as a self-employed business owner, you have to pay self-employment tax, but it also, a portion of that comes off as a deduction on your 1040 as well. That sounds complicated, but once again, TurboTax is doing all of the hard work behind the scenes to create these calculations for you. So all we had to do for our blogging business was enter in the simple information that we already knew from our bookkeeping records. And honestly, it didn't take us very long. And since we had great bookkeeping, then we had solid figures to work from, and it was pretty much a piece of cake. The other parts of the Schedule C might be more applicable if you are a product seller. You have some work in this section, but once again, not difficult. This section is only if we're claiming the car or truck expenses section, and then we already talked about the other. And that's all there is to the Schedule C. It's literally 2 pages, pretty much everything on 1 page, and then you are done. And TurboTax is combining this with your 1040, and they're coming out with your refund or taxes that you owe. All right, I hope this has encouraged you that if you have good bookkeeping records, and especially if you've done your 1040 on your own in the past, that adding a business, adding a Schedule C to your tax return is not overly difficult. And when you use a program like TurboTax, it just makes it pretty simple and pretty easy to do. Once again, you can find the link to TurboTax in the description. Please leave any questions that you have in the comments. And if this has been a help to you, as always, I would really appreciate your like and your subscribe. Thanks so much and have a great day.